Hello, I'm Alaina, and I wanted to take this time to share a little bit about my experience so far as an online instructor for Education First, EF. I work solely online from my home, and I have the opportunity to teach adult English learners from all over the world. So far, it's been a really great experience. I wanted to share a little bit about my work because I feel like as I'm looking around, there aren't very many videos posted by current online teachers who are sharing about what they actually do and why this is a great opportunity for you if you're looking for something to do from home. A little bit about my background. I have done a lot of work with ESL in the past. This is not a job that I would recommend for someone who doesn't have any ESL experience because maybe unlike some other companies, they don't really provide ESL teaching training for you. They do require that you at least have a 40-hour TEFL certificate, but I don't really think that in 40 hours of TEFL training, you get the valuable knowledge and experience that you need to jump right into this position. So if you disagree with that, let me know. But I feel like just jumping right into this without training and really without a lot of, mentoring is not for someone who wants to do this to learn about what it's like to teach ESL. So some things that I've done, I actually taught for Education First in China at a face-to-face center where I taught ESL to adults. So I know about this company, and I felt when I worked for them that the materials were good and that they facilitated a lot of great conversations between myself and the students that I was working for. So I was glad to have the opportunity to work for them again. I've also taught ESL as a volunteer abroad and in the US. I've studied ESL as my master's degree. And I previously, before I am doing this right now, was working for Buena Vista University in Iowa. And I was teaching classes for teachers and pre-service teachers who were getting their ESL endorsements. So this is kind of my world that I've been dwelling in for a few years now. With this job, you do teach only adults and you work online from your home. And their only requirement for that is that you have a good enough connection to support having video conversations with people all over the world. So as long as you're able to plug with a cable into your router, I think, or your modem, I don't know which one, sorry, but you have to be able to plug in, then you're good to go. These adults that we teach are from countries all over the world, and they're mostly professionals who are wanting to further their English skills for the work that they do, or for future work that they would like to do, or for future studies in English-speaking countries that they would like to do. So it's really interesting to learn about the students' plans and their motivations for learning English. Working with these students is great because they're highly motivated individuals that pretty much all are paying for their own English studies. So this motivation is great. It's a breath of fresh air to work with these people who really have specific goals in mind and are very determined to achieve them. What I really like about this job, in addition to working with all those interesting people, is that they are very flexible about when you teach. So for me, the best time to teach right now is between 8:30 and 11 p.m. at night. I have two small children at home, and so after I put them to bed, I make myself a cup of tea and sit down and teach for a few hours. So whereas that sounds like a lot of work, and sometimes it is, the way that you teach isn't, there isn't a lot of time consuming prep outside of when you're teaching the class. So honestly, it works for me. That's very low pressure. So I want to talk a little bit then about the how I teach, because within that flexible schedule, and like I said, not a lot of time doing work outside of when I'm teaching, I kind of want to explain what that actually looks like. So when I'm preparing to teach a class, what I do is I look at all of the presentations for all of the levels of students that I could possibly teach that day. And looking at each presentation takes about 5-ish minutes, definitely less than 10 minutes, to look at each of those individual PowerPoint presentations that could be taught that day. They have a rotation. So you'll see that lesson, and then several weeks later, that lesson will be available again. So that's kind of how that works. So once I've reviewed all of the PowerPoints, then I'm ready to teach whatever class becomes available at the time that I'm scheduled to teach. So I enter the classroom, and then that presentation shows up for what level I'm going to teach. And since I've already reviewed it, I know what to do. And I wait for my students to enter the classroom. I teach them. And then after that, it takes me less than 10 minutes to type out some feedback for all of my students. And voila, that's what you do. There are also private lessons. So when I have a private student, I also see ahead of time what I'm going to teach. I review that specific lesson and then enter the classroom, teach the student, and then provide that individual feedback for them. And that feedback process is a little more in depth than for the group lessons, but also takes, about 10 minutes or less to input all of that feedback. So yeah, that's what the teaching schedule looks like. So just to review, the reasons why I really liked this position so far are who I teach. So I teach adult professionals who are highly motivated from lots of different countries. How I teach, I like the curriculum, I like the online platform, and I feel like it facilitates really good conversations without me having to put a ton of lesson planning and prep work and grading in addition to the time that I'm teaching. And I really love that this job allows me to stay at home with my babies during the day and focus on them, and then just focus on my teaching when I'm in the classroom. So I feel like this job has many positive aspects to it. And the only negative that I can think of at this point so far is that you do start off kind of with a low pay scale. Even for someone like me who has a lot of ESL experience, they have a starting base pay that everybody gets. But then after 6 months, if you pass your 6-month probationary period, then they can offer you another contract. And at that point, you can negotiate for a higher salary. So I'm definitely planning on doing that. I've talked to people during my initiation into this job who have been doing this for years. I think one of the people I talked to had worked for the company for like 4 years, and then I've heard of people working for them for longer. They've been around for a while. And I think the first online ESL class from EF happened in the 90s or something like that. So they've been around, they're reputable, and they're professional. So let me know if you have any questions. I don't get anything for this. 0 commission, 0 extra pay. This is just because I feel like there are others out there who might have questions like I did about what this work is like. So I just wanted to be transparent about that and share what I've learned and share why I think this is a really great opportunity if this seems like it's something that that you're looking for, that seems like you. So thank you very much.